Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's had a wonderful evening. Just got finished watching the UFC 241 card, and this is my post-fight reaction. It was a good card tonight. Unfortunately, I had not unfortunately, but I was celebrating my sister's birthday, so I missed a lot of the undercards. But I caught the main event, the whole main card tonight. The first fight of the night was okay with Brunson. Brunson fought a little bit strategically for a change. He kept a kind of a slow pace. He got clipped early in that fight with a head kick, but he was calm. He was able to get through it, survived. It wasn't the most impressive performance from Brunson. It wasn't the most dynamic fight, but it was a decent fight, and he showed a lot of heart. He showed a lot of maturity in his game. So props to Brunson for getting the win. The next fight was fire. Those two brothers went at it. And it was going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And finally, Youssef closed the show with that counter right hand, dropped him cold. And that was the end of the fight. But it was crazy. If you didn't get a chance to see that fight, go back and watch that one. Really focus on the top three fights of the night. And, man, Yoel Romero versus, what's his name, Paulo Costa. Man, that was a battle. That was a war. Those two guys just went at it. It was shot. I mean, it was shot for in the first round. It was drop, shot for shot. I mean, it's crazy. The chins those guys had on each other because they hit each other with some vicious blows. They were vicious shots. And on both ends, the guys would just take them, eat them. One guy would drop, the other guy would get dropped, get back up. But it was a really, really, really close fight. A lot of people thought that Yoel won it, and I could see how they can think that Yoel won it because he seemed to actually have more volume. But a lot of those shots that Yoel was throwing were he was landing a lot more quick in, like short shots, little jabs, quick, and he got some takedowns in there too. But he didn't really do much with the takedowns. He got them. He got control time for just a little bit, and that was about it. He didn't do much with those takedowns. So I think where Costa got the decision in that fight, and I think what the judges saw was that Costa was moving forward all night. And I always say when it comes to fights, it's hard to win a fight walking backwards. When your back is against the cage and the other man's got the center of the octagon, it's hard to say that you're winning that fight because you're not the one putting out any offense. You're playing defense. You're playing counter shot, and it's in a real fight. I mean, it's hard to win a fight just walking backwards while someone's swinging at you. The perception's always going to be whoever's moving forward is making the fight. They're bringing the violence to action. And they're the ones that are dictating the pace of the fight, and they're the ones controlling it from the middle. And Costa was he was hitting him with some hard shots, too, though. He seemed to be hitting Yoel with the harder shots, I believe. But Yoel just ate him. If it came down, if you looked at it like boxing, and, boxing has jabs and power punches, I would say that Costa had more power punches. But Yoel had his fair share, too. They were really, really close. Those jabs were, I guess in MMA they count, those jabs are snapping his head back, so they were significant, so it's hard to say, but it was a really close fight. I don't see it as a robbery. I could have seen it either way. It was a really close fight. I think I had it 2-1 for Costa going into the third with Yoel, and I think I had it, I score things a lot of times a draw, but I think I had that one for Costa too, but I could see it going for Yoel too. Some of those rounds I was wondering, but I usually pick the fighter going forward if the round is close. So that leads us to the co-main event: Nate Diaz versus Anthony Showtime Pettis. This was a great fight too. Nate came in; he's been out of the octagon for 3 years, and he came in and he looked a little slow to me. He started real slow well, I thought he said he started his post-fight interview. Said he started fast, but it seemed like his timing, and they said that ring rust isn't real, but I think it is. I think he showed a little rust there because he was a little slow to get going, a little slow to get moving. He was getting tagged by some shots early by Pettis. He got hit with I think he got hit with some kicks early too. Like he just wasn't on his game. His boxing wasn't sharp. Where he took over in that fight was at the end of the first, he got a takedown, and on the ground, you could tell that he was just a notch above Pettis. So he secured that. He probably won the first, but taking his back, having that control time, threatening with the submission. But it was, again, it was a close round. Round 2, very close again, but Nate started picking up a little better. He started pushing the clinch. When Nate started pushing that clinch, he started doing a lot better in the clinch. He started pushing his pace on Pettis, and Pettis started slowing down in the second. And again, I believe Nate got a takedown in the second too. But again, in the third round, Nate just kind of took over that fight. Pettis seemed to, it was either in the second or the beginning of the third. Pettis threw a kick in it, and it went shin to shin. It hurt him. It buckled his leg. And you could tell that he was a little gassed, too, from the pace. And he started slowing down. He wasn't throwing kicks. His hands went slow, and they started picking up the pace, pushed him against the cage, and just pat, 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 hit him with them short, fast shots. And he hit him with something I'm not used to seeing Nate do. He hit him with some vicious knees. In fact, he almost finished Pettis in the third, and Pettis dropped a guard. I mean, he dropped down to the ground. And actually, by dropping to the ground, he saved himself, because if he stayed on his feet any longer, it would have been over. And it was quite a good grappling exchange in the third round. They went back and forth. Nate was at the beginning he was threatening. He took the back, and then Pettis spun into his guard, and then Nate threatened with triangle. He threatened with an armbar, and he missed it, and he got spun again. It was a good exchange on the ground, but in the end, I think it could have. I think it went 30-27 all three cards. I could have seen 29-28, but 30-27. I didn't dispute either from Nate Diaz. His boxing looked better as he got on in the fight. I just think his timing was a little off. I think that if he comes back quicker again next time, we'll see a better Nate Diaz. He called out Jorge Masvidal, Gamebred. I think that's a good fight to make. It's an exciting fight. Those guys are both they're both, as far as exciting fighters, the popular fighters right now. It'll make a big gate, and it should do well on sales. It'll probably do real well on sales, but it's not going to really affect as far as the title's concerned. So I don't know if Jorge wants to take that fight. And lastly, the main event, DC versus Stipe. I was a little bit worried about DC going into this fight. You know, I'm not really a fan of either. In fact, I think DC could be kind of a jackass sometimes, and he was being kind of a cocky, arrogant snot in a lot of these interviews, and I was kind of like, I don't know if that's the attitude to have versus Stipe. I mean, you got him, but there's no way you're going to get him like that again, and Stipe is that dude's a warrior, and he's shown that he's a decent fighter his whole career, that he's got a lot of heart. He doesn't quit. He keeps going forward. He keeps fighting. But in that first round, DC came out really well. He was hot that first round. He was just pop, 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 hitting Stipe with shots. He was hitting him with he was swinging hard, hitting him with some hard leather. And Stipe just ate the punches. I think DC got a little over anxious, a little overzealous, and tried to finish that fight fast. He tried to finish it quick, and I think he emptied the gas tank, because by the middle of the second round, and definitely by the third, he was gassed. And by the third round, Stipe got some momentum, and DC had lost some. DC also, I mean, he was just gassed, but some of the way he was fighting, even early in that fight, his hands were down. Like the whole time he had his hands down in his side. He wasn't keeping his hands up for nothing. He started out early with some good kicks in the first round. He should have kept that up. That would have slowed down some power, Stipe, but I don't think he respected Stipe's power from last time. You know, he got hit with a couple shots last fight, but I don't think he got hit like this time. He kept letting Stipe just tag him time and time again. I'm like, dude. I mean, he didn't fight a very smart or intelligent fight at all. I mean, in the first round, he used his wrestling. He slammed him down. I was like, he needs to wrestle this guy, and he should have the endurance, but he didn't. DC didn't have the endurance at all. Stipe was the fresher fighter. I mean, he was the guy pushing the pace towards the end, and you know, in the end there, Stipe adjusted. He started moving to the body. He wasn't having much success headhunting. He was hitting that body, and he was hitting DC with some hard body shots, and I think DC just broke. DC, and when he hit his body, he was already exhausted. He didn't have his hands up. I don't think he could keep his hands up. He got exhausted. When those shots started hurting him, finally, they started making him wince. And when he winced, his hands came down to his side. I think he was trying to protect the body. Then as Stipe went up high, hit him with some nice right hand, and just followed up shot after shot, and just DC crumbled and finished him, KO'd him. So it was, you know, it was a pretty vicious loss for DC. He was pretty upset. It probably wasn't a smart fight for DC to fight to begin with. And there was some talk around, even DC himself said that his camp didn't go that well in the beginning. He said it went better towards the end, but that he had a bad camp. And there were some rumors around that DC didn't look good in camp either, that he was getting beat up. And he's coming off of surgery, so that was a dumb fight to take. He underestimated Stipe, and I don't think he really wasn't ready for this fight. It's no excuses, I mean, but he gave out. He gassed, he got broke, and then he got beat up and KO'd. So he got outdone by the better fighter tonight. It caught up with DC. He should have retired. He should have rode off on the sunset with them 2 belts, and his legacy would have been a little less tarnished. But it is what it is. He went out like a warrior. I don't think he should fight again. I think he's done. There's nothing else for him really to prove. He was undefeated at heavyweight. He's not now. What's he going to come back for a 3rd match with Stipe? If Stipe beats him in that one, then it hurts him a little bit more. And there's no need for him to take damage. He's already beat Stipe. It was a pretty even fight, but I think Stipe's got his number now. I think DC had Stipe's number in the first fight. He saw that hole with that fist in the clinch. He caught him with that. But I don't think it's going to happen again. I think Stipe's got him now. So anyway, if you got any comments or questions, anything, leave them below. Have a good day. Good night and God bless. Peace.